It's great to see you and meet you too. Can you see me okay? I don't think I'm in like the greatest service zone, so I hope that there's at least a decent picture.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
no, the picture's perfect. It's really, honestly, it's really crisp. The picture's absolutely fine. So yeah,
Fantastic.
no worries at all. No worries at all. Oh, this is so
Great.
lovely. So have you, can I just double check? Is it yourself, you're Stefan, and then have you got a girlfriend as well who lives not in the bus at the moment, but
Yes.
perfect.
Yes, I'm Stefan and she lives in Spokane. She's a nurse full time.
No.
Um, and Spokane right now is like 3 months of below freezing temperatures. So that's why I'm not there for
Oh.
winter. So
Fair enough.
yes, yeah,
That makes
exactly. So
perfect sense. It's amazing. Stefan, thank you so much for joining me today on the Tiny Sessions podcast.
of course, thanks for having me.
Oh, it's lovely to have you. For anyone who hasn't heard of you or your space, could you just tell us a little bit about yourself and your background?
Yeah, I'm 26. I'm a college graduate. Done the whole standard American education system thing. Um, Towards the last year of my college experience, I got super into exploring other people's bus life experiences online. I kind of thought it was a cool thing. This is like mid 2019, so before pandemic and everything happened. So
Yeah, sure.
towards the end of 2019, I was spending every single one of my class periods in my business degree browsing online looking for buses to buy. I wasn't paying attention to class or anything. So I was just looking for a bus, trying to find something. And this was also just before everybody was looking for a bus. So things were
Yes.
still pretty affordable. There was a whole bunch of options, all this. Right now, it's not the case anymore. It's a totally different market. So I was just browsing stuff in class. And one weekend I was like, hey, mom, I'm going to go look at this bus in Santa Cruz. It's about 3 hours away from my house. So drove down there and then drove back with the bus. It was pretty spontaneous.
Oh,
It
wow.
was not well thought out. I didn't know what I was doing at all. And I came home with it. I had problems on the way home already because
Oh, no.
I didn't know what to look for, didn't know what to check, so, but then I had a bus. So I had to
Yeah.
do something with it. And yeah, that's, I guess, how this all started. Further background, I don't know. I've always been a traveler. I'm half European, so I've spent a lot of time in Northern Europe, visiting family and connecting with that side of my background. I did spend a year studying abroad in Spain, so it gave me an opportunity to explore a lot of Europe with my friends over weekend trips and that kind of stuff. And I did a couple like week plus long road trip kind of things, one of which we actually lived out of a van, and that was my first time actually living in a on the road situation,
Yeah.
not from motel to motel, but like living inside a vehicle. And while that specific arrangement wasn't sustainable for long term, I realized, I was like, wow, you can really explore a lot. Your freedom is completely opened when you can be wherever you are and be fine.
Yeah.
So that experience followed by another one like a year and a half later with a similar friend group, um, did another kind of road trip out here in the West in a van, and just wherever we wanted to go we could go, and gave me a really good idea as to what it could be like living on the road. Yeah, so that's kind of my introduction into this lifestyle, and then I
Yeah.
spontaneously bought a bus.
That's
So
amazing. I love that you just went and got that bus, because sometimes people are like, do I check everything? And sometimes, like you say, you didn't know what you were looking for, but you still got there. You're still there. You're in your bus now. So it's really cool that you just went for it, really.
yeah, no, it is cool. I mean, when I look back on it, I'm like, oh, it's so dumb. Not that I regret being in this position, but like
No.
all the junk and garbage that I had to sort through with this particular bus, I was like,
Yeah.
too many things that I wish I didn't
Didn't have
have
to
to
deal
go
with.
through, but
Yeah.
I did have to deal with because I just bought it. So,
That's amazing. I love it. And whereabouts in Northern Europe is your part of your family
my
from?
my mom's Dutch, so she grew up in northern Holland, about an hour west of Amsterdam, till she was about 20, and then she came to the States for her college, and then she's
Oh,
been
cool.
U.S. resident since, but she's still Dutch, and I have dual citizenship, so it's makes it handy to
Cool.
just pop over and spend some time out there. It's been since before the pandemic that I've been
So you've
back
been
there,
back.
which is at this point it's the longest running time that I haven't visited home.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, hope to go this summer, but you know, things change so
Yeah.
quickly. So
I can completely understand as well, because I'm in the position of doing a dual citizenship because I'm half Maltese. And I
yeah,
thought, you know what, I'm so proud of it. And I thought, whilst I can, I will apply for it. So I'm sending the forms in person. Actually, I'm going to Malta for the first time again in years to go and see my nana at the
wow,
end of
great.
March. And I'm doing dual citizenship. And I know what you mean in terms of like how you've not been able to go to that place where you've got family there, and it's one of those things where you just have this pull, don't you? And you're
Yeah,
aware that it's been a long time.
yeah, exactly. And you know, that it was such a blessing for me when I was studying in Spain that, I mean, inter-European flights are so affordable compared to everything out here. You know, if I
Yes.
just want to go visit my girlfriend, it's hundreds and hundreds of dollars, but you can go across Europe for, you know, 30-40 bucks. And
Yeah,
the
sure.
ability to just go from, you know, my spot in Spain up to Holland, spend a weekend there, it was just such a I don't know, just a connectivity that I experienced by being in that space that I, you know, haven't had for a couple of years now. So I'm
Yeah,
itching
but
to get back.
soon,
So
soon you will.
yes, hopefully.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, this is so cool. Could you just talk us through your bus space and the layout that you've got?
Yeah. I'm guessing you'll at least post this recording to YouTube at some point, but I'm gonna try to do it in a way that if you're not seeing this, then you
Yes,
can use your ears to understand my
perfect.
space a little bit. So I have like 15 feet, about 4.5 meters of living space from the back of my driver's seat to the back of the bus. So it's not huge, you know. Right behind the driver's seat, I have my shower. My shower is 2 by 2 feet, so it's really small. It's the absolute
Nice.
smallest shower pan that I could find. But having a shower versus not having a shower is a world of a difference. I'm generally a pretty active person, so when I run or work out or do something and I sweat, I just don't feel comfortable in my space
Yeah,
feeling that dirty and gross. So
yeah,
having a shower is a huge blessing. I can just take a quick rinse and then just feel super refreshed. So right behind my driver's seat is my shower. And then behind that is my kitchen counter. I have my sink and then some prep space and then my stove top. And then right next to that is my bed. I have a fixed bed because I
nice.
thought, you know, the one thing that you use the most hours of every single day is your bed. So I
Yes,
didn't want to go through the jump through the hoops every night, every morning of breaking down and putting up my bed. I just thought
yeah,
that's the process. That's not worth it, you know. So fixed bed back there. It's a full size mattress. It's standard dimensions. So the mattress was affordable versus doing a custom thing. And if I needed to switch it out, it's a pretty easy to, you know,
yeah,
swap out. And then coming on the other side, on the passenger side of the bus from the bed back forwards, I have a kind of skinny hanging closet. It's
yeah,
maybe, you know, 8 to 10 inches wide. But I can hang all my coats in there because folding or rolling coats and jackets gets
yeah,
super bulky. So I can hang those in there, which is great. And then, but in front of the closet, I have just a little dinette area. You know, you can sit two people comfortably. I've fit more than that if I had to. I can also drop the table down and form a big bench seat. But in general, I see a lot of people put bench seats as like a full install in their
yeah,
rigs, and without like a chair and table combination where you can comfortably work, it's just
yeah,
a super difficult uh, use of the space. So I'm super happy with my dinette area. I mean, 98% of the time it's just me in here. So having a bench
yeah,
seat to entertain just doesn't make sense, you know.
yeah, that makes
So
sense.
it gives me a good workspace. And yeah, in front of the bench seat is in front of the dinette is the front door. So that's about all there is in here. But
Nice.
it's plenty of space for just me and plenty of space for all my clothes and things and all my cooking stuff. So
yeah, that's
yeah.
it. And it's really interesting what you've said about the shower as well, because did you go through thoughts of if you wanted a shower outdoors or inside, or was it simply you knew that if you want a shower it would be inside?
Yeah, so I'm gonna kind of take the long roundabout answer to that question, because it just makes me think of, you know, the thought process of what I want and what I want to build.
Yeah.
When I bought this, I was kind of in a social environment with a bunch of guy friends in college where we were doing these outdoor adventure sports, mountain biking, climbing, this and that. And I thought to myself, I'm like, we're gonna do 1 to 2 months. We're gonna crank out a super dirty build that we can throw our mountain bikes in and just go out and have a rip roaring time, right? So that's why I bought the bus, right? To do a super dirtbag build and just go and do stuff. But once I stripped things out, I found enough leaks and enough rust damage and enough challenges that I'm enough of a perfectionist that I did not feel comfortable building on top of these flaws and imperfections in the structure of the build. So after spending weeks and weeks and weeks and months fixing all of those problems, I then didn't feel comfortable building a kind of shady, sketchy build on top of all that work.
Yeah.
So it kind of evolved from doing a quick and dirty build to, okay, now we're doing something super special and custom that's going to work perfectly for me. Initially, I didn't want to shower. I was like, I'll do an outside shower and just whip out a hand hose anywhere I go. But my girlfriend that we mentioned, she said, if you ever want me in there, you're going to have a shower.
I love that.
And, you know, so that kind of planted the seed. And then once I designed the space, I was like, yeah, that's going to work all right. And then once I moved into it, I was like, oh, I never trade that shower for anything. So it slowly evolved and grew because initially I was just like, yeah, I'll just hose off outside. But you know, sometimes it's cold, sometimes it's windy, sometimes, you know, and having to do that outside just isn't super comfortable. And, you know, using that in here is actually really, really comfortable and you know, clean experience. So I like it.
Definitely. No, it makes sense. And how have you worked it in terms of like heating and also like heating the shower, the water, and also like where have you got like a tank that's slung under the bus, or is it within the bus itself?
Yeah, so for heating, I have a propane water heater, and I was actually having a conversation with another couple bus people the other day. I'm having a hard time understanding how this all works because I last filled, I have an 8-gallon propane tank. I don't know how many liters that is. 8-gallon propane tank mounted underneath the bus.
Yeah.
And I last filled it in December of 2020.
Oh.
So I'm like 16 months in, and I shower pretty regularly, and I cook with all propane, and I still have like a quarter tank. So anyways, I have a propane water heater, but I'm more concerned of running out of water than using too much propane to heat my water. So heating water is no problem at all. From the heater to the shower head, it maybe takes 10 or 15 seconds to actually warm up.
Yeah.
So if I know I'm going to be boondocking off grid for a long time, I will use that cold water because I can't just throw that down the drain. But otherwise, if I'm nearby a house or something, then I'll just, you know, let that get nice and hot and then jump in. As for drain, I have a 20-gallon gray water tank slung underneath the bus. So, and depending on where I am, if I'm way off in the boonies, and depending on what state I'm in, some states allow for steady gray drip. So I don't have to collect it in my tank and then find a place to drain it. I'll just leave it open, and then as I use water, it just slowly kind of drips out. So pretty sure Arizona is one of those states, and I'm in Arizona right now. So you can just leave that open and just kind of slowly let it dribble, and then not carry around your gray water. So
that's cool. That's handy. That's really useful. That's really interesting. It's interesting hearing how people do showers, because I think it's one of the things that when people are getting a space, they really think about if they want one or not. And if they want one, for example, with my space, I didn't do a shower straight away because I was worried about the moisture and that condensation
Mhm.
from having like the warmth in a smaller space. But do you find that you get that still with the bus as well? Because I guess it has to go somewhere, that steam, or is it not too bad?
Yeah, I mean, I was somewhat concerned about that too at some point. In reality, unless I'm actually hooked up to city water and have a hose coming in, and then I'm really conserving as much water as I can when I
Yeah,
shower, right? So
yeah,
there's not enough flow of water to actually generate any sort of reasonable
cool.
accumulation of steam, you know?
Yeah,
So the steam really isn't an issue for me. There's been times where I am hooked up to a city line, and I, and take a nice shower,
yeah,
whatever. Um, and yeah, there's more steam, but it also, I don't feel like it collects on my windows or condenses on anything else in here. I can
that's
open my
good.
roof fan, and then it's just kind of,
Just goes.
sucks it out and dissipates. So I've had really fairly few problems with condensation ever in here, which I'm a little bit surprised by, because in all my
Yeah,
research and during the build process, that's one of people's biggest concerns. And
yeah,
maybe I addressed it well enough in the build process, or
yeah.
maybe I'm just in locations where I don't get cold enough that it really is a problem. So
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense.
yeah.
Oh, it's really cool. So when you renovated your bus, did you and your girlfriend renovate together? And was this like a shared idea, or was this your idea for yourself?
It's really been my idea for myself.
Yeah,
She was always supportive of it and excited
yeah,
about me doing it. Um, but we didn't design it together. We didn't build it with the thought that we would live in here together.
yeah,
Um, After me being in here by myself for 10 months, I have no idea where she would fit,
yeah.
I've occupied
Got
every
your
space with
routine.
all my things, but if she would have to move in, I'd be like, I don't know where your clothes are going to go. I'm sorry, so not really, but at this point, it started off my dream. I did I mean, she helped from time to time, but she
Yeah,
wasn't out there every day. She wasn't spending hours and
yeah,
hours and hours every week, because she was still full-time nursing school at the time that I was building this. So
yeah,
she would jump in on this task or that task when I would say, "Hey, I just need some extra hands," or you help
yeah,
me paint, stuff that you can just jump in and participate with. But
yeah.
um, no, vast majority was all my design and my craftsmanship, I guess. So
It's so cool. I love that. It's your
yeah,
project for yourself, which I think is so
yeah,
important. It
exactly.
doesn't matter if you're with someone, it's great to have those things. What is
Yeah.
it that made you sort of choose to live this way? And do you find it easy to live this way in the US?
Yeah, good question. What what made me want to live this way? I I mean, like I said, initially it was seeing other people with their rigs doing their thing.
Yeah.
So I got introduced to it from the whole Instagram side of like, oh, wanderlust, this, that, whatever.
Yeah.
And I look at it from the outside and said, oh, that's cool. I want that. So that's kind of how I wanted to do this. It wasn't about uh, sustainability. It wasn't about cost. It wasn't about um, challenging myself to live an alternative lifestyle or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, Over time, those have become parts that I do appreciate about it, but those weren't like the motivation behind it.
Yeah, sure.
As for, do I find it easy to do this in the US? So far, yes. To be honest, the first 7, 8 months of me living in here, I was relatively stationary because I was working in-person job. So 4 days of the
Okay.
week, I'd be I'd park in the same spot. I'd have a hose hooked up.
Yeah.
I had some family friends that I could park at routinely. But then weekends, I'd go out and find a cool spot, go to the mountains, whatever. But I wouldn't have to like sustainably find water every couple of days at a different city,
Yes.
different spot. At this point, that is what I'm doing right now. And so far for the last month and a half, yeah, it is pretty easy, at least in the area that I'm in. I'm
Yeah.
going from like southeastern California, which is just dispersed desert wasteland, to Arizona, which is similarly just spread out. There's an
Yeah,
incredible
sure.
amount of BLM land out here, which is kind of just public owned, free for all, park
Oh,
where you
okay.
want. And there's so many resources online as to, you know, where you can find BLM land, where you can find specific spots that people have camped at. They say this and that about it.
Yeah.
You know, you can find water fillers, propane fills, I mean, the resources are there. It's just about learning how to use the tools, and
Yeah.
you know, it's pretty easy, I would say.
That's really cool. So for example, in the UK, we have an app, which is a Park for Night app, where it will tell you places that you can park for free safely.
Yeah.
Do you have like an app or website in the US that's really useful for those sort of things, like you were saying, where it tells you about those certain areas of land?
Yes, there's several apps / websites there. I mean, they're all both like dual platform kind of stuff. One that most people use, it's free, is iOverlander.
Okay.
And that's one that's great. You can just go to a map and then choose the filters that you want it to show. And there's maybe like 20 different filters as all these different resources. And
Nice.
so usually, since I'm sustainable enough just in here in-house, I really just look for dispersed camping spots, which have no services, no nothing.
Yeah.
And they're free. So you find a dispersed camping spot and great. Or I put on the water filler filter, and then I can, you know, depending on where I am, it'll have little pins where people have filled water before.
Oh, nice.
So iOverlander is a good resource. There's another one called the Dyrt, DYRT. That's a paid membership. I do have that one. It's like $36 a year or something like
cool.
that. So I do pay for that one. And that one it's a little bit of a different style resource. It has more established campground stuff, but it has some cool map layer filters on it that show you different land owners, I guess. So it has like national park boundaries, national forest boundaries, BLM land boundaries. So then you can different layer filters can tell you exactly what land is owned by the federal government, and if it's BLM, then you can just go there, whether or not there's a pin that says camping here, you know. So between those two, I can find most of the resources that I need, and that's mostly what I've been using. So
that's really cool. It's really handy to know those. I know that you went to a festival very recently. Can you tell us what that was called, and just tell us a little bit about it and your experience there?
Yeah. Wow. That was, what's today? Middle of February. Yeah, that was the last week of January. It's a festival called Schoolie Palooza, and totally free festival. And I mean, it's called Schoolie Palooza, so this, you know, it's a schoolie festival, but vans, box trucks, RVs, you know, whoever is, since it's free, whoever shows up can show up. And because it's free, there's very little organization, so they just tell you when and where, and then you just go.
Oh, I love that, and it's free as well.
Yeah, it was my first meetup ever, and just the sheer number of people that showed up, and the extreme diversity in different rigs, different kind of people, different age of people, different walks of life. Like, I was blown away with the breadth of the community that showed up. It was kind of wild. Luckily, I mean, since I've been relatively stationary, I haven't been meeting a ton of people on the road until the last, you know, month and a half or so. So luckily I was able to meet up with a few other buses right beforehand. And they were like, oh, we haven't been to something like this before. Let's all like show up together. So I was able to park with a couple of people that I'd become friends with, which is great. I mean, some of these people are people that I've been watching their YouTube videos for years, and did my build because I was watching them and how they did, you know. So then to meet them in person was super cool. And then to become friends with them is something else. And I mean, we spent a week together, parked in the little circle, and just spent so much time together getting to know each other. And you know, super fun experience. But then you just go and walk around, and there's so many different kind of rigs. I didn't know that it all existed, you know, because I interact with the side of bus life that is the Instagram side. Like, that's what I do. I share it online. I post it, the adventure kind of stuff. And so I interact with the other people in the community that do the same thing. But that's just the surface of what the bus life can be, because there's so many people that do this because of sustainability, because of location freedom, because of cost savings. And it's not about the online adventure or the sharing with people or whatever, you know. So all those kind of people showed up too. And super cool to see all the different ways of doing it. And, even though there wasn't organized stuff, there's musicians that had all their stuff and they're like, we're gonna put on a show, come on out. And such a super, super fun time. Met so many cool people. And yeah, no, it's a crazy festival, but really, really fun.
Oh, it sounds amazing. And when you're describing it as well, I keep thinking of that. I don't know if you've seen it, the film Nomad. And there's a guy on there called Bob who's quite famous. He came up the other day on something as well on TV, and he lives in an RV out in America, and people go to him, and it's amazing how like there's people of just different ages, families, solo people, couples, retired people, and like you say, they've all got these different stories, and they're not necessarily people who are online either. And it's quite special. It's really nice, like knowing like there's this whole other community of people out there who are so interesting.
Yeah, no, it is a super cool thing to realize. And I mean, because I could talk about bus stuff all day long, but my family and my girlfriend and my other friends are just like, all right, enough of that. But when you're hanging out with other people who built their bus and know exactly what it's like and have gone through the process, or you go and look at their bus and you're like, why did I not think of that? Or you show them your bus, and what I think is just a day in the life of my bus, they're like, whoa, that's so cool. And so being able to, I mean, we could talk about bus conversion things for hours that everyone else is like, I've heard enough, guys, come on. So
it's so lovely.
No, it was fun. Yeah,
it's almost meeting people that you click with, and I bet you learned some amazing things as well from the people who are perhaps of an older generation as well, like the conversations that come up as well are just
100%, because in reality I am kind of on the younger end of people that have a build like this, or like are fully sustainable in their rig. And to see that there's just so much diversity in the community, and having some good conversations with people was really fun.
I love that. I know that you do really, really well on YouTube, and that's one of your main things that you do. How have you built success with YouTube? How are you working it and building that platform?
Well, I would say I'm doing really, really well.
Nah.
I mean, that's kind of a two-headed beast for me. Like I said before, when I was working this full-time in-person job, like that'd be 40 hours a week, and at the end of the day I wouldn't have the energy or the creative space to actually work on anything. And then it would come the weekend, and in order to spend some time with my family or with my girlfriend or with some friends, like my time would run away pretty quickly. And YouTube is, to make stuff that I'm actually proud of, takes a lot of time and a lot of work. So for those 7-8 months of working that full-time job, I kind of said, I'm not prioritizing that right now. So the last year has been pretty questionable as far as getting consistent or quality content out. I've been trying to get back on that in the last month and a half or so. So I don't approach it super officially or super intentionally. And part of that is because I want to make stuff that I want to make. And I know that that's not necessarily a recipe for wild success, but I wouldn't feel confident or comfortable saying I'm going to bend to the algorithm or what the average person wants to see, and I'm just going to make that, because that's not what I want to do, right? If people want to follow me and subscribe and consume my content, I want them to do it because they like the person that I am, the way that I present myself, the way that I share, the way that I teach, the way that I can produce my experience. And that's what I want to connect with people on, not because I made some content that just does well on the platform, does well with the algorithm. And so, I know that's not a way to grow super quickly, but at some point I hope to have built a community around me that follows me for me, and not for, a style of video or a type of content that I've now pigeonholed myself into a box, and I have to create that because that's what my community wants. So
Yeah.
it's a slow grow journey, and the best I can do is use the equipment that I have to make the best quality videos that I can, and
Yeah.
hope that people like it. So that's kind of my approach to it.
Definitely.
But
I think it's really important as well, like what you're addressing is that you're not like conforming, you're not making content just to please. You're doing it because it's what you want to do. And I think that's really important, because I think some people can get a bit sort of pressurized to constantly create content, and then it doesn't become fun and it's not enjoyable. And if you're living a lifestyle where you're living in a small space that you enjoy, it seems backwards to then be pushing content and then not enjoying it. So I think
exactly.
it's really good that you're doing it that way. And at the end of the day, if people want to follow you and they enjoy seeing your work, that's only going to grow and grow naturally. So it's interesting how almost you're saying it's not about the speed, it's about creating the content that's right for you, and then that will just happen naturally, which I think is probably a better way of doing things, really.
Yeah, that's what I think too. I mean, one of my degrees is in photography, so I have like an academic photo background and
Cool.
all the equipment to do that kind of stuff. And right out of college, I was doing a bunch of freelance stuff back home. I'm from Napa Valley, so I was just working with wineries and doing events and stuff like that. And I'd gone through college because I just love making photos, and then it became something that I just wasn't excited about and I didn't enjoy doing. And it was for getting paid less than I was worth. And, I started to think like, I don't want to use my camera. I don't like it. It doesn't fulfill me anymore, because it had become something that I wasn't excited about. So I kind of took that lesson. That's what I'm applying to. I mean, beyond YouTube, that's what I'm doing on Instagram and TikTok too. Like, I don't want to just feed the algorithm. That's not my goal, because indeed at some point I won't like it anymore. And if I want to create a long-term sustainable audience and platform for myself, it needs to be about me and the person that I am, not just this little space, because this space will come and go. Like, I will move on from this at some point in my life. And if I want to be able to take this audience or my passion for YouTube and creating videos, like, that needs to come along with me and be able to move with me past this space to the next. Exactly. So that's kind of my goal. Everyone's got their favorite content creators out there that's how they found wild success. Like, yes, they do have value, they do teach you, they do have educational aspects to their channels, but the reason why I go and click and watch their videos is because of who they are. And that's what I'm striving for. And whether or not it becomes something huge, who knows? We'll see.
No, I love that. I think it's so important. Just be who you are, and then let the people who want to see you follow you, because like you say, they will follow you through the journey of whatever you do in life, which I think is great. I love that. I also noticed that you have an Amazon link on your Instagram. How do you find that? I've seen a few people do that, and do you find that it trickles in a little income, or is it just there just in case?
I've only set that up in the last week.
Oh, amazing. So really recent.
That's barely, that's super recent. But I mean, the whole goal behind that is I'm not trying to become rich off of Amazon. But I have in the last year, after connecting with so many more people online, so many questions like, what do you use? Like, can you send me this link? And I'm like, at a certain point, I am directing people towards stuff that I've used. And even if it's a couple dollars here and there, setting up that platform, doing the work once, okay, now as I share that stuff, then I'll get some payback from it. But I literally made that a week ago, so it's not
amazing.
Not quite kicking off yet, but it'll get there.
It's so cool. You have a
here's
beautiful cat.
A special guest. Say hello, Echo.
So what's your cat's name?
Her name is Echo.
Echo. Oh, that's so lovely. Oh, she's beautiful. She's white, but she's got lovely gorgeous markings on her face.
And she's got the brightest little blue eyes.
Oh, beautiful. Oh, look, she's literally like nestled in your arms, like curved.
Yeah.
That is so
my little
lovely.
baby.
She looks so cute.
Um, she is so cute. I took her on a little walk yesterday out in the desert,
Oh,
and she does like to go outside just because she likes the fresh air and the breeze and
yeah.
whatever. But I just started walking away from the bus, and she just followed right along, and it was the
Oh,
cutest little thing.
oh,
Anyways, to
it's so
answer your question, how do
lovely.
I find having? I've always been a cat person. I've
Yeah.
We've had tons of cats growing up through my life, and I knew that I wanted a bus cat from the day that I started building this thing. Um,
Nice.
it actually took a little bit to get my girlfriend on board with me getting a cat. Um, but I mean, this one in particular kind of just fell into place at the right time. A friend of mine adopted her, and then found out her boyfriend was allergic, and she was overwhelmed with the whole thing. And this is at the same moment that I was actually about to start going out and looking to try to find a kitten to adopt. And she said, "Hey, if you want her, you can have her."
Oh,
And I mean,
wow.
I'd seen pictures of her, and I said, "Yes, please, I'll take
Yeah,
that."
she's
She's a gorgeous little
gorgeous.
girl.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So
amazing. That's so
yeah, but
nice.
living in here with her, I mean, people see pictures of her on my counter or on my table, and they're like, "Why would you?" But I live in 100 square feet.
Yeah.
It's not super reasonable for me to set location boundaries for this. I mean, if I said no tables, then she would have, you know,
Yeah.
30 square feet of my middle aisle to walk around in.
Yeah.
So, um, and I mean, I love cats, so they can do what they want. I
Oh,
I
it's
will.
nice.
She's my owner. That's the reality of it. So
Ah, that's so lovely.
yeah,
And it's different. I really like that you've got a cat. A lot of people have dogs. You don't often see people with a cat. And it's really nice, people might see like you with your cat and think, actually that like some people want a pet, but they might not
yeah,
want a dog, for example. So yeah, it's really cool. I like that. Do
yeah,
you have like a litter tray or anything that you have
yeah. I do
away
underneath
water and
underneath one of my dinette seats. I cut a little hole in the plywood side of it so she can pop through that hole, and that's where I feed. So I
nice.
put her food in there, and she has a litter tray in there as well.
Oh,
So all of that is
nice.
not out in my space,
Yeah.
and um, she's great at just popping in there and using the litter if she needs it, and then she can come right back out. So
Oh, I love that. Oh,
yeah.
that's so, so cool. I always like to ask my community and invite them to ask you a question. And the question that they want to ask you is, what is your morning routine?
My morning routine. Well, it's nothing spectacular. Um, it'll depend day to day when I wake up. Like right now, I'm parked with a brilliant view towards like I'm up pretty high. So I was like, okay, I
Oh,
got to be up for
wow.
sunrise. So this morning I was up pretty early to watch sunrise, but usually roll out of bed, make a cup of coffee first thing. I use an AeroPress because
Nice.
it's small, compact, but also makes some great coffee. And recently, for the last month or so, I've been doing smoothies for breakfast. So
Oh,
I'm
nice.
pretty terrible at like intentionally getting fruits and veggies in my diet.
Yes.
So if I would do like pancakes or eggs or whatever for breakfast, then I'd really not get some of those nutrients. So
Yeah.
I've been trying super hard to do smoothies, and it's so quick and easy. So I throw a bunch of fruit in the blender, blend it up, and that's my breakfast. So coffee, smoothie, um, yeah. And
I love
when I feel like it, I'll go on a jog in the morning. But that's not a
that.
super Hey, don't play with that.
Nice. It's not consistent. It's not like religiously you have to go for your jog.
No, no, no.
Nice.
The coffee is the religious part, but
Oh, I
that's about
like
it.
that. That's so good. What is the blender that you've got for your smoothies? I'm super interested to know.
Yeah, found I have the Beast blender by
Okay.
Beast Health. Um, I didn't. So the reality is, my battery bank has been super solid. It's incredible. I built it myself out of smaller cells,
Yeah.
but the BMS that's on my batteries won't let me actually power for sustained time something that's
Yes.
at 1500 watts or higher, right?
Yeah.
So your standard household like super blenders, like your Vitamix or some of the other bigger blenders,
Yeah.
those wouldn't really be able to run off my batteries. But the Beast Health blender is only 900 watts. So I can run that. I mean, it takes a minute and a half to blend. So it pulls negligible power, but to run that motor off 900 watts, it's, super friendly on my batteries. And it's actually a pretty powerful blender as far as consistency of being able to actually give me a quality smoothie. So
definitely,
I can send you their socials after this if you want.
Yeah, please do, because I think that's why I asked, because there's so many things like that out there that just suck your battery, or God forbid, blow it up, because that can happen as well.
Yes.
So it's really interesting, like checking what it is that you've used. Because it's so nice to be able to, like you say, you can get your fruit and your veggies in, and you've kick-started your day basically, which is a great way to live as well. That's really, really
exactly cool. Yeah, no, definitely go check out Beast Health. Their blenders are great. The blender compartment that pops off, and then that's the bottle or the jug that you not drink out of, so it's not like a single use and you pour it and have to wash that thing. So the dishes are friendly for this kind of space. It's also beautiful. So I mean, the way I designed my space, all the accessories, I try to have it all match and like fit in with the vibe of the space. So that blender definitely does. So that's multi-purpose all around. So
you've designed your space beautifully. Like everything that you've got, like all the little details and your choice of your fabrics, and it's really, really calm, but it's like neutral, but it has your personality in there. Like I love how you've got behind you have a wall, and you've got like it looks like a plate, and then you've got this amazing little piece of artwork, and it's just really nice. It's almost like a little gallery wall, but it's just really modern and sleek. This
is actually an air vent for.
Is it? It looks like a little plate.
Yeah, no, but it's I can unscrew this and that slowly opens the air vent.
Oh, I see. That's so neat.
But that was for like a portable AC that I had under this chair. Having so much tubing kind of choked it, so that doesn't super function as well as it was designed to. So it's one of those things that it's there, but doesn't really do much.
Oh, but this is modern art. Then it looks like a plate.
There you go. This is one of my friends from art school painted this for me. So, and I mean, as a huge coffee person, this is my little token piece of art that I have in here.
Yeah, it's so nice. It's really, really neat.
Yeah, fits space too. So.
I love that. It's really nice. I always like to ask my guests at the end of each episode.
Oh, there we go. Hold on.
That's all right.
And then, okay, there we go.
We got you
disconnect with my AirPods, so you have to go ask that again.
No worries. I always like to ask my guests at the end of each episode about a sustainability question, and that question is, sustainability wise, what do you wish that you or we had more of?
This is like general society question, or like me and my bus question?
It can be either. It's one of those really open questions that you can take it whichever path that you want.
I'll take it me and my bus wise.
Nice.
Because society wise, I'd have to give it some more thought to have a well-rounded answer. So me and my daily life in this space, to be more sustainable, there's a couple things that I would need. One is more water. That is my number one limiting factor. Because clearly, I mean, my propane's fine. My batteries have never gone below 60% because they're topped up by solar every day. So electricity, heat, water is my limiting factor here. Number two, what I do find not super sustainable in here is that even though you can try, the amount of waste that you create, even living in a small space. I mean, you go to the grocery store and you come back from the grocery store and the first thing you do is end up throwing a whole bunch of stuff away. So my garbage fills up pretty quickly, and that's not something that I can just, take the bag out and put it on my chair. And now I have dinner with a garbage bag every night until I, at some point go and get rid of it. So waste disposal is a challenge for me, but I guess that does, that point tips its hat to our lack of sustainability with packaging and general shopping styles. And I haven't been super intentional about finding places to shop that are better at that. It's tricky because those kind of places usually end up being a little bit more expensive to shop at. So then you go cheaper, but then you end up with all this extra waste right off the get-go. So I guess that there's my one point towards societal sustainability is packaging general waste that is only used from the factory to the consumer and then is thrown away. So no,
it's a really good answer. And I think it's like you say, it's almost like if it can be more affordable, so if more people use those places where they don't already have the packaging on, the more people that use those places and those products, the more cheaper it is because they can buy it in more bulk, knowing that people are going to buy it. And then you would be able to afford it. So it's just that initial, I know what you mean. It's really, really good answer. I've noticed, like with rubbish and things, like it fills up really quickly, and you try your best not to, like I pre-prepped loads of stuff, but I still ended up with rubbish. So it's really hard. It's a really good answer as well. I really, really like that. Stefaan, thank you so much for joining me on the Tiny Sessions podcast. It's been so lovely to chat to you. And for anyone who wants to find out more about you, you have an Instagram account and it's called Bibia Bus, isn't it?
Bibia _bus, BIBIA _bus, and it's the same on TikTok and it's the same on YouTube as well. And from there you'll find, any of those, you'll find links to some of the other resources that I'm working on. Currently working on building my own website.
Cool.
I'm actually going to start a podcast of my own here in a couple of weeks, which I'm kind of excited about. So if you want to learn more about the bus or actually see what it looks like, if you're listening, then go check out those channels and then keep an eye out for some more kind of some new platforms of content coming out pretty soon. So
they sound so exciting. I love that. Definitely check that out. Well, thank you so much, Stefaan, for joining me today.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me, Nicole.
Thank you. That's so cool. I love that you're doing a podcast as well. That's fantastic to hear.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you a couple questions about that.
Sure.
I've briefly looked into, I have all the equipment to record and edit and everything, so that's not anything that I would have a problem with, but I don't know, like, what do you use for hosting your podcast? Do you use like a third party platform that then from where you upload at that point, then you can spread it between Apple Podcasts or Spotify or whatever?
That's exactly what I use. So I use Buzzsprout, which I'm pretty sure you can get out in the US as well. And it does exactly that. You put it up on, you download it onto or upload it onto Buzzsprout, and then you select all the different platforms that you want to link it to, and then after so many hours, sometimes it takes a little bit of time to reach out to those platforms, but then, for example, with this podcast, it goes out to Spotify and Apple Podcasts and Amazon and Google Podcasts, and then it links also to devices. So for example, if someone's got a Alexa and things like that, it will link to those as well.
Oh, cool.
So that's the best way to do it, I think.
Is that a paid platform?
You can, depending on how often and how many hours you upload each month, you can have so many hours that are free, and after a certain amount of time, then you pay per month. But I can't remember what the minimum is. But if you're doing it within that time frame, say for example, if it was an hour only, that's a month. I can't remember if that's the minimum, but say for example it was an hour and it's free and it's always within that time, then you don't have to pay. But there are some sort of things that you get with the different memberships and things like that. I pay about $8 to $12 a month, I think it is. But like it's nothing, and that's for up to 3 hours, I think. Cool. Up to 3 hours. But the cool thing as well is that, say you choose one and you're partway through a month and you know that it's going to be different for the next 3 months, for example, it might be less time or whatever, you can change it as well, which is super handy as well. So you might do 6 months on one, but then you can change, if you find actually no, I'm only doing a small amount, then you can change it, or you can start with the free one and then move it up, so you can change it about, which is really, really easy.
Nice. Okay, cool. I'll have to look into that, because that's like the one thing that I still haven't figured out in my mind is the hosting. And can you upload a whole bunch at the same time and then schedule their releases there on the Buzzsprout? Okay. So you can upload, you have to do it like individually, but you can upload an episode and then fill out everything, all the details that you want, and then you can schedule it, and then you can go to the next one, upload that, and then so you can have them all scheduled out, which in the ideal world is that's the best way to do it, really. And 100%.
They go live at that time that you've scheduled it. So it's got a good scheduling system on there, and it's easy to use as well. It's really user friendly. Great,
because that's been my plan, is to sit down, record like 8 episodes at a block, and then have those scheduled out once per week, and then that gives me 2 months to now record the next batch. Because setting it all up just to record one episode and then have to edit it quick, then to post it, like that's not a sustainable way to produce that content. So
that's it.
I mean, I've just finished a couple of days ago figuring out the first set of episodes, so now I just need to sit down, record, and find a publisher. So
that's so cool. Buzzsprout's really good, and I use Audacity for editing, which is free. You don't have to pay for that, you just download Audacity, and again, super easy and user friendly, and there's loads of YouTube videos on sort of how-tos and things, and you can do it as simple edit or as advanced as you want, so that's really, really useful. And the way that you want to do it as well is really, really good, because doing it that way and putting all your recordings all in one, it's the best way to do it. The best way to do it, because it takes a lot of time to schedule and organize and get what you want to talk and your own layout of everything. So you've got the right idea of just recording and doing them all back together, and also your equipment's already out. So for example, tomorrow is my Saturday, and I literally from morning to evening I will have like back-to-back recordings, and I always have like a little break in between, but it makes it so much easier. And then all your recordings are done, so then you can do, if you want, you can do a block of editing as well. It's much easier.
Okay, cool. Well, good to know. I appreciate the recommendations on that. That's super helpful.
No worries. And if you have any questions that come up at any point, feel free to ask, because that's how I started. I was really lucky that I connected with a lady who is a radio DJ, and then she set up her own podcast, and she's been in the industry for ages, and the advice that she gave was just like valuable. It was so helpful. Cool. Like hearing what works from someone and not making the mistakes that they've made and almost like it's almost like fast tracking yourself. So yeah,
Yeah.
if you have any questions at any stage, like feel free to just message or send a voice message or video or whatever. It's not a problem.
Great, appreciate that. That's super helpful.
Yay, that's cool. What are you up to for the rest of
Thanks.
today?
Oh, well, I had a traumatic experience yesterday. I was trying to drive up a road that I probably shouldn't have driven up, and
Oh no.
yeah, lost traction, started sliding backwards. I look in my rearview mirror. I have maybe 10 meters of space before the edge of the cliff. So I'm super terrified. So I'm probably going to go walk back up the hill and film a little bit of footage of that spot so that I can kind of tell that story with enough visuals. So I'll probably go up there, do some filming. I'm actually meeting up with some friends outside of Phoenix this weekend for the Super Bowl. I don't watch football.
Oh, you don't?
But I'll hang out with friends. No, I watch soccer. I follow Premier League. That's my
nice.
that's my weekend binge. I'll watch 3 matches a weekend. So but yeah, so I'll be driving a couple hours today and then spending the rest of the weekend with a couple buses that I was with at Schoolypalooza. So
nice. So nice. Yeah. And are you okay from the incident from yesterday? Do you feel okay, or did you feel a bit shocked that you could have gone off the cliff?
I feel fine.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I was terrified in the moment, and my heart rate was about 1,000 beats per minute for the next hour or so. But it's got to be a little bit more smart about where I go sometimes. So
yeah, you've got a podcast to make, and I can't have you falling off a cliff. I might want to meet you when I come to the US.
Oh yeah, I know, right? So yeah.
Don't fall off a cliff before I come out.
Oh yeah, okay. I'll save that for later.
Okay.
What are your weekend plans?
I am. Oh, what am I doing? It's really busy at the moment.
You're recording tomorrow.
I'm recording tomorrow, and then I will relax in the evening. And then on Sunday, I'm driving about 5 hours up from where I live. So I'm based in Cornwall, which is the very, very south of England. It's a beautiful holiday spot. It's lovely by the sea, and I'm driving 5 hours up from to where I was born to meet with a film producer, because I'm an actress as well. So I'm going to meet with a film producer, which will be amazing. I'm like pinching myself. So that'll be really cool. We're just going to have lunch, and then I'm going to drive back because I've got work on the Monday morning. And then I'm going to sort the van out because on Wednesday I'm driving to a place called Wales, which is a whole other county. So I'm going to drive there, and then I'm doing some work where I'm basically being a pirate with kids. We've got our half-term holidays, and they've asked if I will be a pirate for like 9 days for these kids.
Oh man,
so I'm going to have fun being a pirate for 9 days.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
Yeah.
Whereabouts are you driving up to on Sunday?
On Sunday, so I'll be driving up nearer to London way. So yes, it's about five hours.
Nice.
And then
when I was abroad, I spent a week driving around the UK.
Did you?
Yeah, so we started in Manchester and then drove all the way across Scotland to Edinburgh, and then down the east coast to Newcastle and down to London. I mean, stopping all along the way, but it turned into this cool little castle hunt. We were there for a week and we saw 14 different, old relic castles. It was a super, super fun experience. Some of the most beautiful countryside I've seen. That was a fun trip.
You must. Did you see the lakes as well? The Lake District. If you went from Edinburgh down.
Not that I recall.
Cool. You would have known if you saw the lakes.
I probably would have known if I saw the lakes. Yeah. We were going out of our way to go to castles. That's how we did it.
Scotland has some incredible castles as well.
Yeah.
Amazing castles. That's really cool.
Cool.
So you need to come to the UK and then do the south as well now.
Yeah, because London's the most south thing that I've done, which is not the south coast at all. So
you'd love it down here as well, especially if you're into like your sports and biking and everything like that. You'll really, really like it down here.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh, nice. That's so
Yeah.
cool. And so, and your trip, did you say you started, I saw on your Instagram, because it said about California as well. You're in Arizona at the moment, aren't you?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
where is it that your family's based?
So I did the build in Napa Valley, which is just north of San Francisco.
Okay.
But I spent most of the summer in central Washington,
Nice.
about 14 hours north of there. And then at the start of winter, I moved to Southern California. And then
Oh,
I was there for a
nice.
couple months. So then now I'm going from Southern California. I'll do some Arizona. I'll go up to Utah for a couple of days
Oh,
before
wow.
meeting up with some friends in Vegas.
Nice.
So right now I'm kind of just doing a little loop in the Southwest.
Yeah,
So I'll
that's
go as
really
far east
cool.
as Phoenix and then up north. So
Oh, that's really
um,
cool.
yeah,
Because between end of May to for like 3 months, I'm hoping to come out to America, to LA. But I deliberately want to stay more like north, so like Santa Clarita,
yeah,
like the ranches and stuff that way.
yeah,
I'm not a Hollywood kind of girl. Although I've
yeah,
got friends to visit there. I deliberately want to visit and see those people, but stay further out.
yeah.
So yeah, I'll have to let you know in case you guys are around or near or anything.
Oh, by May I'm gonna be back in Washington.
Are you? Ah, and then will you
Yeah,
be there
yeah,
for from then onwards, or?
yeah. I mean, I love living in this bus, and
Yeah.
that's not going to change. But I also love building this, so I'm actually planning on doing a couple more builds in the next couple of
Oh,
years.
cool.
Not for me, but just build it and sell
And
it.
sell it.
Yeah,
Nice.
I've had enough conversations and enough contacts in this bus community, and I think that, I mean, this is my first try ever building something ever.
Yeah.
You know, so I think doing another couple builds, I can do something pretty spectacular. So
Yeah.
I'm actively in the process right now of nailing down some space that I can work out of come April. So end of March, I'll be headed back up towards Oregon and Washington. And then
Ah,
um,
nice.
since my girlfriend's, full-time stationary in Spokane, I,
Yeah.
gotta be up there. So
Yeah, no, that makes
um,
perfect sense. That makes
yeah,
perfect sense. And
yeah,
congratulations with her sort of studies and everything that you said about with her nursing as well. That's amazing. It's
yeah,
so cool that she's gone for that. It's
yeah.
really good. It's hard
No, it
work
is.
as well.
It is, and she's on her first contract right now. So after 2 years experience, it's possible that she'll be down to do a travel gig, and then I'll build
Yeah.
the bus for the both of us, and then
Yeah.
go, 3 months at a time, different city, different region, different state, and
Nice.
so in a couple of years that may be where we end up going. But between now and then, I'm going to do some more builds. So I'm really excited about that.
Nice. Ah, it sounds so cool. Ah, that's amazing. Oh, it's so
Yeah,
good chatting with you. It's so interesting. It's so lovely to meet you as well.
it's great to meet you too.
Ah, thank you. Thank you so much for your time, and have an amazing rest of your day, won't you?
Thank you very much. I will, and you too.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Bye, Nicole.
Bye bye.